Hey everyone, Scott here to discuss Pacific Rim Uprising, starring John Boyega, Scott Eastwood, Kaylee Sperry, forgive me if I said that wrong, Bern Gorman, Charlie Day, Tian Jing, and Rinko Kikuchi, and directed by Stephen S. DeKnight. Now, I did see this movie twice. Once in IMAX, once in regular, and I will explain everything on this show as a review. Let's just take a look and see how I felt both times. I do like the animated Universal and Legendary logo. I thought it was like a computer video game. Jake Pentecost, played by Star Wars' John Boyega, is the son of Stacker, Idris Elba's character in the last one, and he doesn't want to be a Jaeger pilot like his dad. It was a poor character development, but I'm only glad they're using his real accent. He gets introduced with some gangsters and almost gets killed by them and is tracking something he's trying to steal. And he meets Amara Namani, played by Kaylee Spaney. Did I say that right? Whatever. Who takes it to her own little Jaeger called Scrapper, until they get arrested. And am I the only one who thinks this is so Michael Bay? Because I feel a lot of his work in this movie, including Transformers. And this is going to be the most headache chore since the Transformers films. I'm sorry for those of you that like the Transformers films. Mako, returned by Rinko Kikuchi, is putting Jake under community service after his arrest and recruits Amara and takes Scrapper. And Nate Lambert, played by Scott Eastwood, who's Clint Eastwood's son, doesn't like the idea, and neither does Jake. I don't like the idea of a sequel of the first movie. I don't really care for the new and returning characters, and Jake doesn't like the idea of it either. And I don't care. Gypsy Avenger, this time it's called, may be the only thing I care about in this movie. A lot of the new recruits are like Disney Channel or Nickelodeon stars from this decade, let me rephrase that. Everything feels like a kid's TV show in an unnecessary kind of way. Luwen Shao, played by Tian Jing, has a new assistant, Dr. Newton Geisler, returned by Charlie Day, who has a wife that's a kaiju brain, and Dr. Herman Gottlieb is pretty much ignored by Newt. And this whole movie, and I'm like, what the hell happened to those two? Well, it is explained later in the film, and I have a headache from thinking about this movie. It makes loud noises as well that gives me the biggest headaches ever. So we're in Sydney, Australia, with Gypsy Avenger just standing there and looking pretty, until we get a rogue Jaeger, which I'll explain what's in its head later in the show. When we find out what or who it is, this movie does a very good job at making this look like Michael Bay did the movie, but a bad job at the story and making me care, because I don't care about Mako dying in a helicopter, because it makes a lot of loud noises at best, this whole movie does. So Jake and Amara drift as a training kind of way, and they go into Amara's brain and how she got separated from her family and was melodramatic, and I have a headache. This movie needs to take a breath, like in the first film, and it's too much headache Michael Bay action. We go to a snowy mountain where the rogue Jaeger is, and Gypsy Avenger finds the rogue Jaeger, and we're again getting some mindless action. This movie doesn't have a brain in its head, just like the kaiju brain in the rogue Jaeger's head. Yes, I said it. It was half Jaeger, half kaiju, in its very lazy writing. The creator of Rogue Jaeger is the traitorous, kaiju-loving Newt. And that was the stupidest way for Newt to betray everyone, and that's when my headache gets worse, to painfully worse. Like Transformers 2, for example. when the Decepticons take over the world in the middle of that movie, and this movie does the same thing where the kaiju take over the world till the ending of this movie. Jake and Nate train the TV kids to become Jaeger pilots, so the kaiju doesn't get to the so that the kaiju, doesn't get to the Mount Fuji. And Gypsy Avenger, as well as 4 or maybe 5 Jaeger pilots, are about to fight in the city of Tokyo, and they both destroy millions of buildings, and some or more Michael Bay crap happens, like a Jaeger flips off the enemy kaiju, and a lot of fighting, and very much a lot of loud headache things happen in the worst kind of way, as well as the kaiju becomes bigger, and much more stronger than Scrapper, the little robot, is on Luan Xiao herself, and she's writing him, and I was like, let them all die already. I mean, just really, until they kill off the giant kaiju, and Nate punches Newt and takes Newt into a prison, saying they'll come back. And Jake says, we'll be waiting for them, and we'll destroy every last one of them. And I'm fearing the day Pacific Rim 3 comes out, because I have to review it. Oh man, I'm not gonna look forward to this. On a high note, let's get to the ratings, shall we? I'll give this movie a 2.2 out of 10. This is the loudest, stupidest movie of the year, and I don't care for the characters. This is not as bad as The Strangers Pray at Night is. This movie gave the biggest headache both times I saw the movie. It's the biggest money-wasting time of a movie. If you like the first movie, by all means, don't see this movie. It's as loud as Transformers. So please don't see this movie, in my opinion. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me, and until next time, today we are canceling the apocalypse.